This is the Stock Day Podcast, sponsored by Ion Digital, providing secure, compliant ecosystems you can trust. That's Ion Digital. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews. Public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. Here's your host, Kevin Davis.
On today's show, we're bringing back a returning guest. Name of the company is DarkPulse Inc. They trade on the OTC exchange under the ticker symbol DPLS. Sitting down with us today is the company's CEO, Dennis O'Leary. Dennis, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Kevin. Thank you. Appreciate you having me here.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, not a problem. Well, Dennis, I know that it's been a while since you've been on the show. We last saw you in December of 2022, and we missed you. So I would like to try kind of something new with you, and I want to do a 5 W's format for the new listeners and to reaffirm the knowledge of the old listeners. And let me be more precise when I say, who are you? What do you do? When did you get started? Where do you operate? And why do you do what you do? All of these basically towards DarkPulse DPLS.
Yeah, sure. Dennis O'Leary. I actually founded the company called DarkPulse Inc. It's kind of interesting that the name comes from the technology. We have a patented laser sensor that uses a dark pulsing technique to measure temperature, stress, and strain, and what they call a distributed fiber sensor, which is essentially we can run a hunk of fiber optic cable, communications cable, hundreds of miles, and every square inch of that cable is a sensor. So you can do a lot of different things with it, apply it to a lot of different industries, extremely flexible, no pun intended. I started back in 2008-ish. I found a series of patents available up in Canada at the University of New Brunswick. And, spent almost 13 years of my life commercializing those patents. So definitely an overnight success, by standards. I think 20 years is the average. So we have a commercial product ready to go. We actually operate in 20 different countries. We have a subsidiary that's based in the UK, but also in Turkey and Azerbaijan. We have a presence in the Middle East and the UAE. We have 2 offices there. We have a presence in Egypt. And then we have DarkPulse Manufacturing. That's our electronics manufacturer. We can get into that a little bit in the discussion. That's based in Tempe, Arizona. And then lastly, the headquarters is based in Houston. We have an office right in downtown Houston. That's kind of where we operate from. But we have people, about 170 some odd employees full time, but then a bunch of subcontractors. So a couple hundred people across 20 something countries. So we're pretty much everywhere, to answer that question.
Wow. That is crazy. And I think the only one we had left was why.
That is always the toughest question. And I often joke saying it's good to be slightly insane. That answers the why. But as corny as it might, it'll sound corny, but it's to really improve human condition, like around the world. And we'll get into the talk about smart cities, but really it's been a vision of mine for a long time, and using technology to improve people's lives. And I think, by the end of the time that we're talking, people can connect the dots and see, well, how does this technology actually going to improve people's lives? And again, I think now with smart cities, the way things are going, and smart tech and industrial metaverse, people are starting to really open up to the idea of, integrating technology more into their lives. And so I think, it'll come out while we're talking, but just try to improve the world.
Excellent. Zilla Nation. I was checking it out actually on Twitter. You're at Dennis M. O'Leary. Pretty cool. You had a video that you posted when you were at the Huncut Bridge. I was just kind of wanting to take a look more into that. I mean, obviously it's a social media post, but what is that project? Help me understand, help me cross that bridge of knowledge.
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's a huge project for us. It really showcases our technology, and some of the cool things Like, for instance, the user interface is a VR capable, so you can actually put on a VR headset. You could be located any in the world, anywhere, click fly to, and actually walk that bridge virtually from anywhere.
Wow.
There's hand gestures programmed. It gets even cooler. So we have hand gestures programmed. So basically, like a swimming motion, you can swim through that structure and see what's going on in the structure itself, structurally, 3D in color. I say near real time because it depends on the uplink speed. But that's just a user interface I've not seen out there anywhere in the world that anyone else is doing. I guess the cool part, so we launched into what's now being called the industrial metaverse. And it's not the metaverse like, gaming and, you have your avatar and things like that. These are major companies moving into what we're calling industrial metaverse. And we're putting real pieces of infrastructure, DarkPulse, real infrastructure into the industrial metaverse. Again, the Huncut Bridge, a perfect example. And then we layer the tech on top of that digital twin that we've created in the industrial metaverse. And that gives you the ability to see things in again, near real time structurally, so that really puts an end to, bridge collapses or oil and gas pipeline failures or, you name it. But it also could be applied into buildings. And again, we talk about smart cities. Again, knowing real-time temperature, stress, range, structure stuff as it relates to, people's environment, their city, and then people being connected into sort of that network and really understanding the world around them and kind of what's going on. And it's fascinating where we are now, but it's going to be even more fascinating where we're actually going in terms of smart cities and industrial metaverse. And you see some big players moving in now, like Intel and General Electric, Hewlett Packard. They're all pushing into industrial metaverse. Yep. And we're just right at the forefront, so extremely exciting. But yeah, the bridge is in partnership with Caltrans. That was strategic for us because Caltrans sets the standard for the Department of Transportation. This, I guess you can call it a pilot project. We're about to go live. I did post a video. Yep, that you talked about on my personal Twitter.
Yes, that's the one that I was looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, so the bridge is there. I was calling it completed, but I mean, it's not our project. We're not building the bridge, but our tech is ready to go. We're just waiting for the electricity to be turned on, basically. We'll put a hardware stack in there. It's all of our, patented tech, and essentially hit the power button, and, that bridge, including the data, will be live. And, it's sort of a momentous type of thing for us. So we're looking forward to that. And, I can't tell you how many other, potential customers or DOTs have contacted us over the Huncut. So probably one of the best.
No kidding. Made. And just to specify, this is California?
Yeah, it's in western Sacramento, and I think it's Highway 70, if I'm correct. And so not only they put this, it's 1,300 feet long. They've also widened the road there, so it's turned into a major project. And like I say, real-time structural health. And actually, in that video, what's cool is I focused on we had just installed into the roadbed of the bridge, and that actually will not only give us torsion, like twisting, but also overweight vehicle detection. So we can, alert to an overweight vehicle, which actually causes damage to structures like that. And then we have the capability to tie that into an enforcement system. So using a smart AI camera, we can issue a traffic summons as well too. But Caltrans is really interested in the data, right? Like how does it and what has it done to the structure? Yeah. So again, just really cutting edge stuff, and really just a huge opportunity for us to showcase the tech. So we're really happy with where the project is.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just thinking safety, longevity, engineering. I mean, you're talking how many thousands of bridges are, there. Hypothetically speaking, obviously each project is different. I'm actually watching the video right now. How long would it take to kind of get, like, how easy is it to get, a system set up? And then how scalable is the process if another Department of Transportation said, you know what? let's open up the floodgates?
Yeah, great questions. I mean, I hate to say the word easy. It's pretty straightforward. But, what's really cool is the first part of the project, I'll call it, we were there during live pours, and what we were doing is we were measuring heat of hydration, and we were able to show Caltrans graphically, essentially that the concrete cured properly, right? So we're measuring the temperature. And the fiber optic cables, they're all over this bridge, every nook and cranny. And then the second part, we had wanted to do the overweight vehicle detection, but we actually waited till essentially the bridge was complete, and we ended up having to cut grooves into the bridge and then install the fiber really like after the project, we'll call it. And the reason why we decided to wait is we've also now shown Caltrans and really anybody that we can install the system into existing infrastructure. And in the next 10, 20 years, right? So I mean, all this legislation here, the IRA was signed, the infrastructure bill. This starts to scale over the next 10, 15, 20 years, but there's existing infrastructure. So it was important for us to show that, yes, we can do it while you're building the thing, but we can also put it into existing infrastructure. So scaling, it's actually pretty straightforward, surprisingly, in terms of installing it to existing, which we just completed now on the Huncut. And then it's just a typical, again, hardware stack, plugging in like a rack of hardware into it. We have a roadside cabinet on the bridge, secure cabinet. And then it's provisioning, and we can provision that remotely. It's either going to be, through us here in the United States, or we have a team based in the UK. So it's pretty straightforward. That's kind of the crazy thing. The heaviest lift, I guess, is putting the fiber in. So.
Like, that's what gets me. I think it's impressive that I could check the, temperature of my fridge or watch my cat when I'm like on vacation. But you're telling me that like an entire bridge can be, monitored. And I mean, you're blowing my mind, man. Like, that's absolutely, I think that's, absolutely, like, if you're listening to this right now, you should be feeling how I am. And I'm like, wow, like I'm looking at my hand right now. Is this real? You know what I mean? That's crazy. I mean, that's just absolutely out of this world. That is DarkPulse,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this has been, jumbling around in my brain for years. And anyway, it's nice to see that it's out in the world. So, and then, in terms of scalability, that is definitely the plan. And, anyway, looking forward to future things for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, speaking of scalability and, items moving forward, I did see the MSA that you signed with Sanmina. What's up with that?
Yeah. Huge manufacturer, global footprint, lots of capability, signed a master services agreement. Really, what an MSA is an agreement between us and Sanmina for them to manufacture our units, our hardware units. There's also helped with some design changes and upgrades. And then, of course, we have the 9100, 9100D certification from ISO for our manufacturing. So there'll be sort of bits and pieces that we'll manufacture for the system ourselves. And then those get sent over to Sanmina, where, basically they assemble the units as well. But it gives us, really takes care of the global logistics, and they being based in multiple countries, supply chain is often a challenge for especially smaller US-based companies, right? So we have a global footprint. How are we going to push this out from the United States? Basically, is the dilemma you come across. So of course, their capabilities and the fact that we can scale rather quickly in terms of units coming off the line. So the MSA has been signed. Next up will be a purchase order. Right now we're looking at about 200 units that we're going to order. And those units, the hardware units, are slated to go to our distributor, Multinet, who's based in the Middle East. And that's sort of the market we're going to first. There's a lot going on there in terms of oil and gas infrastructure and then smart cities all over the place in the Middle East. We just feel like that's the best market to really just start off in. And then, once the 200 start rolling off the line, it's sort of a continuous process where, we continue, ordering and, units get delivered.
So when we say 200 units, let's look at one unit. What is it?
So actually, great question. There's going to be 3 flavors. There's 2 flavors now. One is just a sensing unit. I say just, but there's a lot of tech in there.
Sure.
The laser-based sensor system, right?
Okay.
That unit, it gets plugged into the fiber optic cable, and you need external hardware as well. So generally a PC, like a server PC, and then what's called a pulse generator, and that just turns the lasers on and off in like picoseconds, right? Well, we decided, why just sell our unit and then have to, either recommend or purchase units from competitors. So what we've done is this next generation that's coming out actually is part of the MSA agreement, part of the purchase order. It'll have a built-in, pulse generator. So that eliminates us buying or recommending a competitor. And then we're also finishing up the design. It'll include the PC card as well. So basically, again, depending, some customers like certain things certain ways. So we'll have the base unit, with the pulse generator integrated, and then another base unit with the integration of the pulse generator and the PC. So essentially everything in one box. I always like that too, that you have multiple vendors, right? If there's a problem, everybody points fingers. It's not me, call this guy. Whereas, the buck stops here with us, and, we have this toll-free number, and, so everything will be integrated into one unit. But you have some variability, right? So.
No, I mean, it totally makes sense, because you can put out, hypothetically a better product, because you're kind of vetting the, items that go in there, and you're, what was it? Like Windows, they used to ship the computers where, it had all those extras like Skype and this and that, and then they'd probably get a kickback and yada, yada, yada. I like the concept, I mean, it's more advanced because it's hardware, and it's actually more valuable that you're doing it that way. So probably a bad example on my part, but it's actually kind of an epitome of a perfect example, like what you said. I can't think of another time when something cool like that happened. I mean, it's like shipping a bag of chips with dip. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, complementary markets, vertically integrated. It's every buzzword I could think of. I'm really actually impressed that is what you're doing. I did not realize that's what's going on here. That is very impressive.
Yeah. So again, eliminating competition, right? But then at the same time, you're in-housing any kind of challenges. We know it's our equipment. We know how to handle it, what to do. And of course it's going to be there's a warranty, availability. There's, tech support. And then just to mention the other side of the coin, my belief, hardware sales, you're only as good as the last piece of hardware you sold. So there's a lot of peaks and valleys in your revenues. So what the system does, as it collects data, we have, again, this VR and now augmented reality capability with the headset. Actually, any device anywhere in the world, you can use our user interface. So there's the services for sale as well, too. So that really ramps up as you add more customers, you see more and more revenue. And you don't have those peaks and valleys like you do with just selling hardware. So it's hardware, but we're also selling the services, mostly monitoring services. But again, you have warranty, tech support, licensing, maintenance agreements, things like that. Very similar to like a Cisco Systems sort of model. And it's just more stable, again, revenue-wise. And again, bringing everything in-house. It's one phone call from your end user. They're not having to call 3 or 4 or 5 people to solve a problem. It's all you. So just better customer service, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really well organized, besides literally being like close to rocket science. I don't know what the equivalent of this science. It's basically rocket science, but not rocket science. It's as complicated as rocket science, but we'll call it earth science or something.
Yeah, a little bit of physics.
It's crazy.
But, nothing too much.
I mean, I'm super impressed how organized you guys are, actually.
Thanks.
Let's switch gears here, and I know that on the SEC Ager system, you guys were looking at a fiscal year 2023 projection of $46.1 million. Why am I seeing that number? Why is that? What's going to support that number?
Yeah, great question. So already to date, so we have a few subsidiaries, one being a company called Optalon. They've been around for 30 some odd years. We bought them essentially as a distressed asset and turned the company. And what's really interesting, we brought all the back office things into the headquarters in Houston. And that's actually, you'll see on the next financial report, the percent in terms of revenues. The margins are getting better because, again, we're streamlining processes. And having them sort of turn a corner, I guess, is the best way to explain it. But the bulk of that number is coming from contracts that are currently signed, active contracts through Optalon, and currently it's about 11 million pounds, and that's essentially 14 million US dollars of contracts active, already signed.
Wow,
there is a framework. Yeah,
that's a lot of dough. I wonder how much that actually weighs in pounds. I'm joking.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Depends on what you use in dollars or gold, right?
$100 bills.
That's the easiest way to carry it around, right?
Yeah.
So again, really a great start already to 2023. Again, like I say, between 13.5, 14 million US signed. They have a great looking pipeline coming in as well, so that's a factor. And then you have to understand too, we just signed this master services agreement. We'll have hardware coming out, so we anticipate selling those 200 units. If you do the math, I put a shareholder letter out a while back. Between the three units, they vary between 100,000, 130,000 per unit. So you can back into a possible revenue number from those 200 units pretty easily. Again, in terms of the 200 units, those will go to the distributor. Then, of course, we have to sell those. So we're confident we're going to sell them. But at the same time, that number, that's more of a forecasted number, right? But to support that, the MSA has been signed. We'll put in a purchase order and we'll look at, again, roughly 200 units at the beginning. And the plan is to go to Optalon's existing customers that already use a similar tech, sell it there. But on the other side of it, Multinet, they distribute some very large companies, like Black Box and Corning. So we're establishing with them not just being a distributor, we're actually building a channel partner system. So there's companies that'll be certified as installers for DarkPulse, and then sort of to back that up, we just added 2 people into the UAE, sales engineers that'll be starting work talking to customers and potential leads to actually sell the units for us as well. And then the same thing's going to happen in Houston. We're actually talking to a couple of people who want to add engineering type to have a sales unit based in Houston too. So just a lot of things in the chute. I hate to say it that way, but a lot of things are aligning. And so we're preparing for the gates to open, I guess, right?
The floodgates, precisely. The floodgates.
Yeah, I was going to say
not
floodgates,
the gates.
but I don't.
Yeah. So you can say floodgates on the air. I won't flag you.
I guess so. Yeah.
But you can go with gates too.
We're putting people and processes in place, right? And so again, 2023 again, that's forecasted, but it looks real good for us. And again, like I say, almost 14 million already signed through Optalon. Of course, there's other things they're going after that haven't been brought in yet. But anyway, yeah.
Gotcha.
Looking forward to the balance of the year.
Absolutely. Wow, that is really good. Well, you know what, Dennis? I know that you've been traveling. You just got back from California, and I know scheduling has been kind of hard. You're a very busy man running a very busy company. I really feel great about the interview that we had. I think a lot of folks are going to be able to really listen to this information and get a lot more insight as to what it is that you're doing. I know my team is going to go and get like a repost of that YouTube video thing that we were talking about. No, that Twitter video thing. I don't know. It's all online. You guys know. Just if we look at Twitter, DarkPulse Tech, I see that you're doing a meet and greet. It looks as if it's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that's going to be on April 10th. So I kind of wanted to bring that up. the specifics can be found on the @DarkPulse Tech, but I wanted to remind everybody of that because I think it would, if I was there, I'd go down there. I'd meet you because, I really like your company, and that's just my personal opinion. So why don't you give us a quick statement on what you would like your current shareholders and your prospective shareholders to take from today's conversation?
Yeah, and it's always the toughest question that you guys ask, But I will mention the Fort Lauderdale thing. It's at Dune Restaurant. If anyone's in the area, they should stop in. I'll be there, obviously, and then Mark Bazile, he's from OTC Lawyers, and I know there's questions around. We have a business combination agreement out there with the SPAC, and we're essentially in a quiet period, so I can't really talk much about it. But at least at the event, you get to talk to myself and the legal guy, right? And we try to help people get a little bit of an understanding as much as possible. But in terms of what we're doing, I mean, it's a really exciting time for me, I have to say. With the amount of travel, it gets tiring at times, physically tiring, but mentally, I love what I do, and I appreciate the people that put me here to let me do this. What do they want to know? Well, I mean, this is just some really cool tech. It's all patented. And then, we just push the boundaries on the tech in terms of, our resolution is 10 millimeter. I know it doesn't mean much saying it that way. Everyone else is at a meter, but what it breaks down to is we can show things that other companies cannot show. So we push that boundary, and then now we have a VR, AR capable user interface. So we're pushing the boundaries every way we can. So again, smart cities, it's sort of a newer industry. I think we're well positioned, in the market. We've done some acquisitions. We're going to continue looking at acquisitions. And the whole idea is to gain market share, get the tech out there now that it's ready, and continue doing some pretty cool infrastructure projects and, anything else that kind of aligns with, with certain verticals we want to go after in what areas of the world. But, I think where we are right now, again, in over 20 countries, lots of experience, a good engineering team. I think this is really just the beginning of us sort of coming out from under the radar. So I look forward to the future, and, I invite anybody again, if they would like to stop by, we can futurize a little bit together. I love living in the future. So, I'm always available.
Excellent. And, I just wanted to say one more thing over here is that if you guys are listening and you're by the computer, go ahead and pull up DarkPulse.com. It's a very nice looking design website. It has videos. It's super interactive. And, I thought it was a pleasure to look. So if you at all are interested in, this company that we're talking to right now, DarkPulse, DPLS, their website is, believe it or not, DarkPulse.com. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's like DarkPulse. Their website's DarkPulse.com. I mean, my mind's blown.
That's a story in itself. But I'll leave it for another call.
That's what I'm saying. We're going to have you back in 40 to 60 days to, update us on those 200 units in addition to Huncut. And, I'm looking forward to it. I want to just say thank you for joining me today, Dennis, and everybody at home. Thank you for sitting down with us today. Again, we talked with Dennis O'Leary. He's the CEO of DarkPulse Inc. They trade on the OTC exchange via the ticker symbol DPLS. Dennis, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was nice to meet you, Kevin. Thanks so much, and I look forward to coming back.
Excellent. I can't wait to have you back.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by La Jolla Media, LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are for educational and research purposes. Stock Day encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional.